Thank you, Oklahoma. Oregon.
Madam Secretary, we have a saying in Oregon, welcome to Oregon, now go home. In Oregon, we love two things, the outdoors and beer. We've got Mount Bachelor as extreme skiing for the west. We also have summer skiing at Mount Hood. As far as beer goes, Munich, Germany, we got more breweries than them, 70 in Portland alone. Our athletes include Ashton Eaton. He's the greatest athlete in the world. That's just from the Olympics, though. I mean, I didn't vote on that. NGB Command Sergeant Major Conley, Command Chief Master Sergeant Hotelling, also from Oregon. Oregon's represented with 6 members, 2 auxiliary, and 4 PD. Yellow!
Thank you, Oregon. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, commonly known as Sixburg Steelers, is home of the Liberty Bell, Yingling, the most dependable weatherman, Punxsutawney Phil, Hershey Kisses, and artifacts as old as Carl Spohn. We love our border states because they all have roads that lead to Pennsylvania. We represent the oldest division in the Army and convoy to this great state with 31 members, all armed with Hershey Kisses. Madam Secretary, Pennsylvania is in the house.
Thank you. Puerto Rico.
Madam Secretary, we are present with 2 PDs, two attendees, including our State Command Sergeant Major Nelson Vigas, Puerto Rico, the island of enchantment, the Pearl of the Caribbean, home of Carlos Correa, the best rookie in the Major Baseball League right now. Madam Secretary, Puerto Rico is in the house.
Thank you. Rhode Island.
Madam Secretary, Rhode Island's in the house with, we have 1 delegate, 2 members. We're the home of the Tennis Hall of Fame. We have some great seacoast. We have sailboat races, national. So we're doing pretty well. Every now and then, a great white shark might come by for a little buffet, but other than that, they're doing okay. And we have lobsters, we have quahogs, we got clams, and every now and then the mobsters do their thing too. Rhode Island's in the house.
All right. Thank you. South Carolina.
Madam Secretary, South Carolina is in the house. We're also home of the friendliest city in the United States, Charleston, which also has the best shrimp that we use in our Buford stew, which you can eat tomorrow night. Also, we're passing out dessert ahead of time, saltwater taffy. South Carolina is in the house with 9 delegates, 5 alternates, 3 professional developments, 8 auxiliary members for a total of 25 people. We're also home to Charleston Air Force Base, Shaw Air Force Base, Fort Jackson, and especially the 169th Swamp Fox from McIntyre Air National Guard Base, deployed in every event that we've had. South Carolina is in the house.
Thank you. South Dakota.
Madam Secretary, from the grassy flatlands to the rolling hills, to the beautiful Black Hills, which houses Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse monuments, South Dakota is in attendance with 14 delegates, 3 PDs, and 1 PD instructor. We are the home of the 1st, the 10th, the 25th, and the 42nd EANGUS National Conferences, the 40th state in the Union. We are the home of the largest and longest running motorcycle rally, and just celebrating our 75th, home of the Sturgis Rally. South Dakota is in the house.
Thank you, South Dakota. Clock. There you go. Thank you. Tennessee.
Tennessee, host of the 2015 National EANGUS Convention. Tennessee, home of the Southern Hospitality and Sweet Tea. From Graceland to Bristol Motor Speedway and every stop in between. Tennessee, where you can have a taste of Mr. Daniel's world best-selling whiskey, Jack, or if you prefer, a pull from the mason jar of our Mountain Shine. Outback. Mr. President, Tennessee is here with 24 in attendance to include 5 PD and our state SEL Command Sergeant Major Scott and State Command Chief Master Sergeant Harris. Mr. President, Tennessee, the volunteer state, is in the house.
Texas.
Madam Secretary, Texas comes from the Caddo Indian word meaning friendly. We are the Lone Star State, born of the Republic of Texas. We are home of H-Town, Big D, and the Alamo City. We are the home of NASA, Southwest Airlines, Doe Computers, and Dr. Pepper. Fort Hood and Fort Bliss call us home, 2 of the largest Army posts, as well as Lackland Air Force Base, the first home of all airmen. We are Longhorns, Aggies, Spurs, Cowboys, Rangers, and Mavericks. Our National Guard forces proudly serve in all missions, from combat operations to natural disaster and civil relief efforts. The Lone Star on our flag signifies the unity of all Texas citizens. Madam Secretary, the Republic of Texas is in the house. Yee-haw!
Thank you, Texas. Utah.
Madam Secretary, Utah, the Beehive State, the Jello capital of the world. Well, thanks to a recent Supreme Court ruling, polygamy is legal, but I understand Montana has beat us to it. Home of the 2014 Legislator of the Year and one of our Guard's own, Brigadier General Val Peterson. Grand Canyon University winner, Shelley Smith. Utah is attending with 12 members, including our National Vice President and our National Treasurer, and 3 auxiliary members. Utah is in the house.
Thank you. Vermont.
Madam Secretary, from the Green Mountains, state of Vermont, the Green Mountain Boys are in the house.
Thank you, Vermont. Reset the clock. I know. No, that's not it. No. Virgin Island. The Virgin Islands. Virgin Islands. Okay. Virginia.
Madam Secretary, Virginia is in the house. Virginia is known for the birthplace of the nation. 8 United States presidents were born in Virginia: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, William Harrison, John Tyler, Woodrow Wilson. 6 presidents' wives were born in Virginia: Martha Washington, Martha Jefferson, Rachel Jackson, Lilo Tyler, Ellen Arthur, and Edith Wilson. The present state capital, Richmond, also the capital of the Confederacy. The College of William and Mary is Williamsburg, and is the second oldest in the United States, and founded in 1693. Virginia is in the house.
Thank you, Virginia. Washington.
Greetings from Washington. I'm sure when you think of Washington, you think of rain. But we only advertise it and market that way to keep California from moving up. We're the home of Starbucks, Microsoft, Boeing, and Amazon. We're the home of some of the best and loudest football fans, the 12th man. We're also the next home of the next Stryker Brigade for the Army National Guard. Washington and the 12th man is in the house.
Thank you. Wisconsin.
Madam Secretary, Wisconsin, home of the Green Bay Packers, University of Wisconsin Badgers, Milwaukee Brewers, and Milwaukee Bucks, home of the largest water park in the world, home of Aaron Rodgers, Spotted Cow, and Limburger cheese. Wisconsin is in the house.
Thank you. Wyoming.
Madam Secretary, Wyoming, where there are more antelope than people, and we like it that way. Home of the world's first national park, Yellowstone National Park. The nation's first national monument, Devil's Tower. Home of the first legal bourbon distillery west of the Mississippi, Wyoming Whiskey. Home of a mountain range turned national park, Grand Teton, named by French trappers after a part of female anatomy. Wyoming is here with 6 members, 2 PD, and 2 auxiliary. Wyoming is in the house.
Thank you. Mr. President, that concludes the roll call of the states. We have a quorum.
Mr. President,
Sergeant at Arms.
we have a distinguished guest in the chamber, Major General Glenn Curtis, the President of the Adjutants General Association of the United States.
Please escort our distinguished guest to the podium.
Okay. You're ready to go. No. All right. Well, good morning. Okay. We can do better than that. Good morning. There we go. All right. Well, to the general officers here, our chiefs, our command sergeant majors, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here this morning and talk to you for just a few minutes. But I want to start off by thanking you for the service that you provide to this nation or have provided to this nation if you're retired. You know, I get in trouble in my home state when I say this, but I say it anyway. Most of the men and women in this country don't have the guts to wear our nation's uniform and defend freedom. And you are in the 1% of Americans that are willing to do that. And so as I look at heroes throughout our nation, you are the people that I consider heroes and that our young men and women need to emulate. So thank you for your service to our nation and protecting liberty in the method that you do and have. Also, I want to thank you for being in Indianapolis today. You know, of all the things going on in your life, as busy as you are, you took time to come to Indianapolis for the EANGUS conference because it's important. It's important to your association, to our associations, and to our National Guard. So I thank you for taking the time to come, in most cases spending your own money to be here, because it is important as we're at this major pivot point with our organization, with the National Guard, and with the military as we move forward. They asked me to speak just a couple of moments on the importance of our associations, and I'm putting them our associations, EANGUS, NAUGUS, and then the Adjutant Generals Association. The strength that we bring, the credibility that you bring to our nation's capital, and that's really where we make a difference at, is in Congress. It's just unbelievable. So don't ever lose sight of the fact that strong membership drives the political power that we have to do what we frame in the Adjutant General Association in the best interest of our nation. People lose sight of that sometimes. But your credibility, your power, and August's credibility, its power, and in the Adjutant General Association, its credibility and its power are really what deliver messages to Congress and helped us protect our organization and do what's right for our nation. You know, we've received numerous benefits throughout the years because of the power that we have. And one that comes to my mind is TRICARE Reserve, which was an amazing accomplishment for us. But in the last couple of years, we really had to sell a lot of bogey points from a credibility standpoint with the Air Force Commission of 2013, of which they came out with 30-something recommendations. They've enacted 80-something% of them, and they were good for us. And then this year, we're currently in a fight with the Army, and we got a commission, as you know. We're in the middle of that commission now. I would tell you that we are getting our message delivered. We went through some great pains to put information together on readiness, accessibility, affordability, and it's facts, not wannabe messages. It's true facts that are hard to dispute. And as we move forward in this budget-constrained environment, that message is going to continue to resonate, particularly on affordability, because what we provide to the nation is a very cost-effective force that gives us strategic depth, great capabilities, and tremendous capacity. You know, I tell them, I've talked to the commission a few times, I've talked to some of the Army leadership, and I tell them that if there was not a budget-constrained environment, then we would all be an active force. But the truth of the matter is we've never been in an unconstrained budget environment. And so you need the reserves, and in particular, you need the Guard. And so we've tried to deliver those messages to the commission, and I think that we will have to continue to deliver those messages as we move forward. One of the things I hope that the commission comes out with in its findings is that it designates us as the combat reserve of the Army. That will be a huge message. That means that we need things like Apaches. I've been asked the question, several of the tags have been asked the questions over the past few months, why does the state need Apaches? And our answer is a state doesn't need Apaches. Our nation needs Apaches and the National Guard to provide that strategic depth and that capacity as we move into a war fight. So again, we have to focus on what's in the best interest of our nation. We will not win all the arguments, but I think that we will come out in a better place as we move forward. So when I look into the future, we're going to live under, if it's sequestration or something else, it's going to be a budget-constrained environment. And so we have to maintain our strength in these associations, and we have to grow our strength in these associations, and we have to keep our credibility so that what we say is true and we resonate it throughout the nation. The one thing about the Guard that Congress truly understands is we have a Guardsman living in every zip code in this country. And so with that comes that power. So we've got to keep our associations very strong. We have to protect our equities, which again have to be in the best interest of our nation. And then we move forward into an unknown future, providing that strategic depth and that capacity. And I could talk all day long, but Chief Harris told me he was going to give me the hook if I went much over, and I've gone about a minute over. So with that, I'll conclude. I thank you again for what you have done for our nation and what you will do for it in the future. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Sergeant-at-Arms, can we please escort the guest from the podium? I appreciate you, sir, but I have the gavel. We'll debrief that later.
Mr. President,
Sergeant-at-Arms.
we have a distinguished guest in the chamber, Major General Deborah A. Ashenhurst, Chairwoman of the National Guard Association of the United States.
Please escort our distinguished guest to the podium.
And now I have the gavel. No. He forgot to take it with him. Hey, good morning, everybody. Most importantly, delegates, attendees, you GOs that are out there, our senior enlisted leaders of our National Guard. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for giving your time. You know, I was warned you don't ever want to follow Glenn Curtis. I'm right. Let's see. I can check off importance of our associations, power of the associations, the Air Force Commission, the Army Commission. I don't have much more to talk about. but I will. No. Thanks, Glenn, for great comments, and as always, you're dead on. So I'm proud of you for being the president of AGAUS, and I know you're going to take that organization to the next level. So I do waste too much of my 5 minutes here, but I want to say that it is indeed important for the solidarity of our organizations, EANGUS, EANGUS, and the AGAUS. And there are particularly some of the issues that we've been addressing lately. President Harris has been very active with us on this, on the retirement issue. You know, when it's 20 or nothing, all or nothing, when 83% of our service members don't benefit from their service because they didn't do the full 20 years. Thanks for helping us with that issue, with sequestration and the damage that's caused by sequestration, the Apache issues, the A-10 issues. But I know in this crowd I'm singing to the choir. You're here because you're up on those issues, and you know what's going on. We need you to take those issues back to all those folks in your states who aren't staying up on the issues. And I know there's always concern about forwarding emails over the .mil and all that. Now, Air Force, you kind of got it made because your Air Force instructions really tell you to be part of professional organizations. A little touchier on the Army side, but find a way. If you ask people if they want that information and forward it to you, they aren't going to file an IG on you, just saying. So, a couple things. Commission of the Future of the Army. So we all thought when it was appointed, look how stilted it is. When General Odierno's Command Sergeant Major retires and within months is put on that commission, we were concerned. It was very AC-centric. But you know, we have found that they have open minds. They seem to have open ears. You know, we are actually going to have 4 of the commissioners that will come talk to us at our conference in Nashville in September. So we think we're going to get a fair shake. We think the process is now being handled appropriately. And having an executive director that was a former acting director of the Army National Guard isn't hurting us on that either. So as much as concern as we had about the commission, I'm breathing a little bit easier. But you know what else I'm breathing easier about is that we have a whole new leadership coming in. We've got a fresh start for my Army counterparts out there. We have a fresh start with a new Secretary of the Army coming in, a new Chief of the Staff of the Army coming in. You know, I think that we're going to have a new opportunity. General Milley is already talking about our Army, just like our Chief of Staff of the Air Force talks about our Air Force. And when he says that, he's talking about 3 components, but he talks one number, one set of statistics. We never had that in the Army, but I think General Milley gets it, and I think that he's going to take that up. What I do want to talk to you about, although I have this list of things that August wanted me to talk about, I want to talk a minute about the National Guard Memorial Building. And encompassed in that building at 1 Massachusetts Avenue, within eyesight of the capital of our great nation, is our National Guard Memorial Museum. I need you to understand that is your museum. That's not an officer's thing, because God knows the wars that are depicted there, the victories that are depicted there, the pain, the suffering, the sweat, and the tears that are depicted there, most of it was done by our enlisted force, right? It is an incredible museum. I really encourage you, anytime you're in our nation's capital, go ring that doorbell and go in there and see your museum. It is always open to our National Guard members. Sometimes weekends are a little tough, but if you let us know, we'll do our best to open it for you. So please go see it. It's very interactive, and it really does tell your story. And probably most moving is the wall that shows the name of all of our state's service members that gave up their lives in this current war that we're in our most recent exhibit there. Also, there's this thing called the Guard Muster. Do you know that anyone who has served in the Guard, been a friend of the Guard, and sometimes families of the Guard can be registered? You can register your career in the Guard Muster. Please go online, look at it. We'd like for you to keep track of your career. Make sure that your piece of history is retained through our Guard Muster. And now I have a few seconds. Let me tell you what they want me to talk about. You know that the gridlock on Capitol Hill still goes on. It looks like we're going to end up with a continuing resolution again this year, which we all know is nothing good, because it means we don't get our money until well after the fiscal year has started, which means then we're scrambling to get people into schools and all those things that we need to do as a Guard. And that, oh, by the way, our service members have another career, so they can't always jump from the barracks or from the dorms and run to school when we say, hey, we got a seat at the last minute. So continuing resolutions are never good for us. There's lingering disagreement on the National Defense Authorization Act. Both the Houses and the Senates are taking a second, at least they're supporting us on this, they're taking a second look, trying to stop that second round of take of Apaches for us. And you know, it's EANGUS, it's NAUGUS, and it's AGAUS that's going to help make these things go. The new leadership in the Army is going to be good. We do have commissioners that are tending to lead our ways with the commission that I think is going to help our future and to help form the strategy for the new Army leadership. So it's a real chance for us to input our future of our organization. I think I'm within my time. President Harris, I yield the floor, or unless I can take questions?
You can take questions.
None. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll see you in Nashville.
Thanks so much.
For what? Oh. Did you say break? All right. That's not in my script, but you're asking for a break. All right. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Brian, are you here? Brian Birch, you here? You pulling? All right. We got some more stuff. Good stuff. What do we have for our winners, Johnny?
Let's call the first winner first. Joshua Aldridge. Joshua Aldridge.
PD, can someone accept it for him? We'll count them as present.
Got a nice
Camelback.
Camelback.
Nice, nice, nice. Have we got a lot or a little?
We got a lot. You want me
We
to get
got a
another one?
lot. Hey, you know how I got that? I asked for it. We'll just do one more. And then we will go on break. While he's pulling this, let me give you some feedback from the exhibitors. They're very happy. I appreciate you.
All right, our next winner is Trisha Callahan. Trisha Callahan.
Trisha here? She's a corporate? Okay, we'll take care of her.
All right, cool.
I'm sure she's present.
We'll give her a nice seat cushion.
Nice. Maybe I should be more specific when I ask for stuff. I want some cool stuff. But the exhibitors are very happy, and I'm very appreciative of that. And they are, look, they're trying to figure out how to come to your state conference. They're trying to figure out how to give you money. So go ask for it. So you want to go, or are we on break? All right, we're going to continue, but the treasurer needs to put on his flak jacket. All right, at this time I call on our treasurer, First Sergeant Retired Brad Howell, to present his treasurer's report.
Slides. All right. The treasurer's report is going to be just a little bit different this year. I know in years past we've had simply the one page with our current assets, and that's what you get as the membership for the entire treasurer's report. We're going to do it just a little bit different this year. The actual written treasurer's report is online. You will be able to pull it up and take a look at it. I've actually moved some of that over into the slides, and I'm going to go a little more in depth on where our budget is, because I think you guys have asked for that for, what, the last 10 years maybe? So, all right. Current assets. This is our current assets, where we're at right now. It's a quick snapshot. You guys can take a look at it. It's pretty up front. 2014 closeout, all right? 2014 is the first time since 2009 that we finished in the black. So really, that's a good news thing. that being said, do we have the NAUGUS president? Is she still in the building? I am. Ma'am, the only reason we're in the black is because of our NAUGUS IT refund that we got from you guys this last year. The total was $176,000. It came in about $100,000 more than we actually forecasted. So thank you, ma'am. Oh. And from what I understand, ma'am, we're going to start doing 50%. Is that correct? It was worth a try, guys. All right, so in the end, had we not had the larger refund from NAUGUS this last year, we would have probably finished in the red, but because we got that, we did actually finish in the black. So very, very good thing for us. All right, EANGUS 8-year revenue versus expense. You can see 2009 was the last time that we actually came in the black. You can see where our budgets increased. If you notice, 2012 is probably our largest year in probably the last 10 years as far as revenue coming in, expenses going out, and the number one reason for that was the National Guard ball. All right, we had a lot of money coming in for that, a lot of money going out for that. That's why that reflects that way. 2000 year-to-date revenue. All right, everybody should have seen this. I completed this in January. I distributed it during the January board meeting to all your executive council. So I hopefully they did distribute that out to the states and you guys actually got to take a look at it. If you didn't, this is a snapshot. If you'll notice, starting Saturday until this Wednesday night is a quarter of our budget for EANGUS for the year. Revenues coming in, revenues going out. Our conference is a quarter of our entire annual budget. So you'll be able to see where if we don't take care of our corporate sponsors and our exhibitors and things like that, we can have a major impact on our budget. So if you take a look at that, you will also see that membership's almost a fifth of our budget there. So we really need to make sure that we're pushing membership and things like that. Year-to-date expenses for 2014. Salaries is the number one cost that we have, and obviously we need that because our national office staff does a heck of a job for us. Without us, we wouldn't be here today. So really, I'd like to actually give them a thanks because they do so much for us. All right, that being said, now I'm going to get into the ugly stuff. And since you guys tend to be a little mean to me, yes, it has sappy plates in it. All right. Restricted reserve. All right, it's a big hot button topic right now. Restricted reserve in the last 6 years, all right, we earned a total of $3,000 in interest in the last 6 years. If you don't know, April, we actually established a new interest-bearing account. We took that money that was simply in a savings account and moved it into an investment account, similar to what NAUGUS does. Our investment manager is Colonel Ed Gargus out of Missouri. If you don't know him, he is a lifetime member of EANGUS. He also sits on the insurance board. He manages our money now. In the last 2 months, we've made over $7,000. So, that being said, we could probably lose 14 next month, so hold your applause. All right, this is an area of concern, 8-year membership revenue. The bylaws change that we did last year to make all our lifetime members or membership costs